Hello students! So let's begin with our first presentation. Our first presentation is called Introduction to Food Science. So today's objectives are to understand what is food, what is the regulatory perspective of food, what are the food product label components, current trends to promote wellness, and some product examples. So let's begin with the basics. What is food? So if we do a Google search, we can see that Britannica Encyclopedia will give us this definition. And food is a substance consisted essentially of protein, carbohydrate, fat, and other nutrients used in the body of an organism to sustain growth and vital processes and to furnish energy. So we can see from this definition that we are touching on some new vocabulary. So we see that we have protein, carbohydrate, and fat, which we'll see in the course that these are macronutrients, and they have specific functions in our body. So here we have that, like the definition states, to sustain growth and vital processes and to furnish energy. So let's look at another definition. According to National Geographic, food is one of the basic necessities of life. Food contains nutrients, substances essential for the growth, repair, and maintenance of body, tissues, and for the regulation of vital processes. So this definition is very similar to the previous one. Also talks about specific nutrients or substances that are very important or essential to functions in our body, in our health. So legally, how is food defined? So if we check our Food and Drug Act, so food is defined as three main things: articles used for food or drink, for men or other animals; 2, chewing gum; and 3, articles used for component of any such article. And we can also say that food is composed of macronutrients and micronutrients, and we're going to spend some of these weeks analyzing what macro and micronutrients mean. So who regulates food in the US? So the US has two main agencies that are dedicated to regulating food. The first one is the FDA, which is known as the Food and Drug Administration. So the FDA regulates many things, among which drugs, medical devices, biological products, cosmetics, and dietary supplements are included, but it also regulates food, which is our main topic here. And then we also have the USDA. The USDA regulates meat, poultry, eggs, like in programs for school lunch, food stamps, or the WIC, which is the Women's, Infant, and Children Supplementary Nutrition Program. And we're going to see more about FDA and USDA regulatory aspects during our week 5 of this course. So let's take a minute and watch this video to understand what is regulated by the FDA.
Do you know how many of the products you use every day are regulated by the FDA? It's about 20 cents on every dollar spent. Many of the common household items you start your day with are regulated by the FDA. Whether brushing your teeth or putting on moisturizer, you can trust the FDA is looking out for you. To protect the public health, FDA staff work every day to ensure the safety, efficacy, and security of drugs, biological products, and medical devices, making sure grandma's treatments are as safe as possible. We don't want little Amanda to think tobacco use is cool, so the FDA protects the public by specifically regulating the manufacturing, marketing, and distribution of tobacco products. The FDA works to maintain the safety of much of our nation's food supply. We make sure baby Enrique's infant formula meets strict nutrition requirements. We even make sure the food you give your pet is safe. Spot thanks you. The FDA works to ensure the safety of many of the products we consume or use every day. To learn more about what the FDA regulates, visit www.fda.gov.
Okay, so as we can see from this video, FDA regulates many things, among which food is regulated by FDA, and FDA is a US government agency, which is very important to assure that the food we consume is healthy, follows manufacturing guidelines, and is also healthy and safe to eat. So we can see, if we go to the grocery supermarket, we can see that we can find many things like drugs, over-the-counter medical devices, we have supplements, we have cosmetics, and we have foods. All of which are regulated by FDA. So let's change gears a little bit and talk about food and the diet. So food is very important because we have like daily contact with food. We need food to perform daily functions. We need food to be healthy, and a healthy diet is related with like our lifestyle, and it affects like how we live, what we do, and also like lifestyle, like exercise is also affected by the type of food that we eat. Our health is also affected. So here we have two images. We have one, and I'm talking about like my left, and it's called Choose My Plate. And we can see this image from the US government, and it has a plate, and we have some divisions. So first we have that half of the plate is fruits and vegetables, like around 1/3 fruits and 2/3 vegetables. And then we have that the other half of the plate is grains and proteins. Let's say around 60% protein and 40% grains. And then we have a small circle that is the dairy. So the idea here is that by combining all these food groups, we'll have a healthy diet, which is called My Plate. And then we can see a similar image in the right hand of the screen, which is called Healthy Eating Plate, and it was published by Harvard. And we have a plate, so also a plate, and then we have a little bit different arrangement of the different divisions of the plate. So we have like on the plate we have half of it's vegetables and fruits, which is similar to the previous image, but we have a little bit more information. And then in the right hand of the plate we have whole grains and we have healthy protein. And then we have some options of like more descriptions of like what whole grains means and what type of protein, like fish, poultry, beans, and nuts. And then it tells us to like limit some of other type of protein, like red meat, or cheese, bacon, avoid bacon, and so. And then we have like two images outside the plate, which are healthy oils and water, and it has a recommendation of like how many like what type of beverages should we drink to account for the water recommendation. So there's like some variations in these two types of plates, but overall what we can see is that the diet should have a variety of different groups of fruits and vegetables and proteins and grains, and this is what will help us have a healthy diet. So variety is very important. So there's two things that are very important. So it's variety and quantity. How we combine them, how much we eat of each of these types of food groups is very important. And we can see that not just here in the picture, but from other research, there's like many options of or variations of My Plate, and they try to have more guidelines for Americans. and the diets that they should follow. There's also a document that is published by the USDA, and it's called Dietary Guidelines for Americans. If you guys are interested, I'm going to post also the link in the week 1 overview, so you can check that. And that document is an extensive document that talks about the different groups, like age groups, from babies to like elderly, and what are the different requirements in terms of macronutrients and micronutrients. And we're going to see that what are these macro and micronutrients in the following presentation. And here we have like just a schematic of some examples of grains and examples of grains. And we have some like cereals, we have bread, we have pasta, we have some like a muffin. So we have some examples, and we have then the vegetables. And also we have a variety of vegetables like corn and tomatoes, carrots, lettuce, and so on. And then we have our fruits like strawberries, so a wide variety of fruits, oranges, grapes. So it's very important to have a variety of all these groups in our diet. And then we have the proteins, which we can separate into like meat protein and non-meat protein, right? So we have eggs and tuna, ham, we have chicken, and in the like non-meat protein we have beans, and we have hummus, and then we also have like peanut butter. And then we come to the dairy, and we have different types of products like yogurt, cheese, milk, and different like types of dessert that we can make with dairy products. And then we have, as we all know, what we call the non-dairy like alternatives, like say for example the different types of like almond, we call them milk, but that's like, we're going to see in terms of regulation that that's not quite the right term. So let's say like, let's call them for now milk substitutes. And we have like almond, we have oat, we have coconut. So we have many options also available. So going a little bit into what we're going to encounter in our next presentation, we have the chemistry of food groups. So when we talk about the my plate, we saw that we have like vegetables and fruits and grains and proteins, but these are like general categories. So in each of these groups, we have, or we can have different like food components or nutrients, and we can divide these nutrients into what we call macronutrients and micronutrients. So the word itself tells us like macronutrients are found in food in like high percentages or high quantities, and micronutrients are found in small quantities. So this is what we expect. So micronutrients in small percentages, because our body will need it in smaller amounts, and the micronutrients are needed by our body in like higher percentages. So the macronutrients are the carbohydrates, the fats, the proteins, and then I just put here water. And water is very important for our body, and it makes up in some cases of like fruits, for example, and vegetables, more than 80% of the composition of fruits and vegetables. So it's very important. And then we have micronutrients, which are vitamins and minerals. And we're going to talk about that in later slides and presentations. And then we have like in a bubble the additives, which are other components that are added in processed food or manufactured food. And we can just name some examples like acids and bases, salts, emulsifiers, thickeners, colors, and flavors. And these we're going also to see these components in more detail, but these have specific function in the foods that we manufacture and that we buy. Okay, so let's look at what is on a nutritional facts label. So I'm sure you have seen this label, it's required on all food products. It can have like slightly different formats, but let's just take a minute and look at some of the requirements. So the first one is the serving size. So the serving size is what a consumer is expected to eat in one sitting. And so if we look at this example, we have 8 servings per container, and then we have the serving size, which is 2/3 of a cup, which is like a measurement that everybody will know and understand and can measure easily. And then we have in parentheses 55 grams. Sometimes we can have other units like ounces or milliliters, depending. And then we have the second component, which is calories. And this is displayed in the large bold font. This is number 2. And we're going to see in future presentations how to calculate these calories. And then we have number 3, we have the daily values. So the daily values is what the FDA would recommend for an adult to eat in a daily basis. So these are percentages. So we can find more information about like how many grams we are expected, or it's our like ideal consumption. And these daily values are percentages of that ideal consumption. And I'm also going to post these daily values for you guys to have it. So we have these different percentages, and we have on our left the different components, constituents that are required by law, right? So we have total fat, we have cholesterol, we have sodium, we have total carbohydrate, and we have protein. And then we have inside like more classifications. Then we have, we also have like in the bottom, we have vitamin D, calcium, iron, and potassium, and we're going to explain in more detail what each of these ingredients mean. And then we have something new, which is added sugars, and that's something, there was a like new nutrition label with like new components to make consumers reading of this label easier. And we have like so some changes in the vitamins and minerals that are required, and also this addition of how many grams of sugar were added. And as you guys can see, we have all our quantities in grams, and this is required by law, right? And so yeah, we will look at the different classification of products in later presentations. Okay, so let's consider some trends in food. So one of these trends is like promoting wellness. So food products are very closely related with marketing, with media, like what people think, what like influencers say in like social media. If somebody tried the product, if they review the product. So we can see here a smoothie, which is a berry blast smoothie, and it's from Naked brand. And let's just like, so there's, we can see the label, it has like some claims, and like, for example, it says like non-GMO, it says no sugar added, and we have like other information about like the types of fruits that were used. It also says no preservatives. So this type of what we call claims, and we're going to talk about them later. So these are things that consumers see like at first glance, and they think about like, oh, this product has no non-GMO. We're going to explain what this means. And we also say that there's no preservatives and no sugar added. And then if we take a moment and look at like a berry smoothies mainly made with fruit, right? Like different types of fruits, different types of berries, or combination of fruits. So with most of like fruits are mainly, the composition of fruit is mainly water and carbohydrates. So if we take a look here, in carbohydrates. So we see here that it's 50 grams of carbohydrates, and that's 18% of the daily value. So there's no fat, which we expect in fruits, no cholesterol. We have 1% of sodium. And then we go into carbohydrates. We have like some types of carbohydrates. So we have fiber, which is 2 grams, and that's 80%. This is the 8%. And we have total sugars, and then we have 48 grams of sugars. Okay, so fruits have sugars, and we're going to see like what type of sugars are in fruits, but so fruits by themselves have sugars, and then we see that 0 grams of other sugars. So this is important, that even when we have this claim of no sugars added, so the only thing it means is that no sugar other than the sugar that was present originally in the fruits was added. But this product has sugar because fruits have sugar. So it is important for the consumer to understand. And then we see here protein, which is only 1 gram. So how will this product compare with, say, orange juice? So normally orange juice will have the same amount of carbohydrates, the same amount of sugars, but normally we'll have less fiber. Because if we compare a juice with a smoothie, so the juice is like more liquid, a smoothie is thicker, less filtration steps. So this means like more fiber, which is present in fruits. So this is important to understand, like how can we associate the claims to the content? So this product says no added sugars, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have sugar. It has the natural sugar from fruits, but no extra sugar. Okay, so let's just move on into like different examples and what companies are promoting. So here we have a company, Safe Plus Fair Food Company, and so there's some claims. Here it says like clean label. Here we have this clean label. Okay, so what clean label means is that consumers want to know the ingredients that are in the products they buy. They want to be these ingredients information very transparent. So that's what clean label means. Then we see here plant-based. So this is very important trend. Like there's like many like lifestyles or eating lifestyles about like, for example, vegan, a vegetarian, or even like people that do eat meat but they want to try or to have more variety. So that's why we have the plant-based. Okay, so many of all of these products are based on like plant ingredients, like for example cereals or fruits and other types of ingredients. And then we have this third claim, which is ingredients free from allergens. So this is also very important in terms of regulations. So allergens are of big concern to some customers, and we're going to see that allergens are very closely regulated because of the effects they can have on health. So I was just like preparing this presentation, I came across this article. And this article, and you can see here, we have the source, and you guys can check it out. And this article talks about the awareness of consumers to buy foods and beverage that will have an impact on their bodies, so on their health and also on the planet. So because of these trends and because of this concern from consumers, companies are reformulating their products to have like healthier alternatives or to have more sustainable ingredients. And some of the ways that they are doing this is, for example, and I'm sure that if you check your pantry or you go to a supermarket, you guys are going to notice. So some of these new ideas are like using organic fruits, reducing the use of artificial additives and preservatives, sourcing ingredients locally or from sustainable suppliers, or adopting environmentally friendly packaging. And these are just some examples. There's plenty of others. And also this article talks about like these companies, like new companies, and what they are doing, like the types of products that they are developing, and what are the things that consumers like want to see, right? So we can see in these products, like in general, there's like different types of like claims, right? So let's start, for example, this one, which is called Magic Spoon, and it's like a breakfast, zero breakfast alternative, right? And in many of these type of products, what they are trying to do is like have higher protein content, lower sugar content. And this is like an alternative, right? So like mainstream brands, like larger company brands that we have always like known. And then we have another trend, which is bars, right? So this we have here one and another like bars, breakfast bars, like snack bars. And there's like, these are just some examples because there's like many other bars. We have another one here. So different types of bars, right? Which are very popular in like college students. So different types of bars. And then, so these bars, like very nice marketing, like images, colors. So they're trying to incorporate, like some brands will market on like high protein content. Some other brands will market on like no added sugar. The type of ingredients they use, if there's like a functionality, like for example, promoting like energy or awareness, like or mental health, or some of these claims that we have to consider them with caution. Or like this brand mainly talks about like ingredients that will make your brain healthy, right? So there are some types of like grains and some type of ingredients that will have some effect on like your daily life. And so other brands will just market more like the type of ingredients they use, no artificial additives, so pretty very like clean label, very natural. And so, and then we have other examples. For example, this brand, which is Chomps, and they have beef jerky from like beef or different types of meat. And they also claim some like no added sugars and a very like clean label. And here we have this brand Rootless, which is seaweed bites. So there's also a big trend in using other types of ingredients, like sustainable ingredients. So seaweeds are type of ingredient that is not very widely used. So normally maybe we have tried it when we eat like Japanese food and so, but there's like many ingredients that are interesting in like seaweed. So lots of fiber, some bioactive compounds, protein, and some like healthy lipids in this type of seaweed. And we're also seeing this trend of like finding alternative proteins, like for example spirulina and so. And finally we have this product which is like a company that will do like pistachio milk substitute. So as we have heard this trend of like non-dairy or other alternative proteins, so we have many options now, and one of these options is like pistachio. And yeah, so it's interesting how marketing and like healthy trends will come together for the consumer. So summarizing some of our learning outcomes, after reading these slides and listening to the recording, you should be able to define what a food item is according to FDA. Should be able to recognize 2 regulatory agencies in the US that oversee food, identify the components of a product label, and identify a product that is promoting wellness. So, thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next presentation. Take care.